Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today, the best daily sports betting show on the planet. And we've got a great lineup for you. Jesse Schule joining us on an absolute tear right now. Perfect 11-0 in his 5% plays. We'll talk about that a little bit later. He's going to look at the Austria-Turkey game in the Euro 2024. It goes today. Should be a doozy. He's also got a Canadian football bet on the Toronto Argonauts and Saskatchewan Roughriders game. Steve Merril joining us after that. 2 baseball bets. Phillies at the Cubs, Orioles at the Mariners. And we're going to end the show with Art DiCesare. But before we get anywhere, Teddy covers. You're on a 7-0 run currently right now, seeing it well. What do you have for us in your big game breakdown?
We're talking MLB and big game breakdown today. We'll talk about the Rockies and the Brewers. Not the biggest game, nonetheless. It is still a big game. So we'll break that down. Cashed one yesterday, I believe, with Houston Astros. So we can do it again today. Lawrence?
Well, I hope all of you Canadians listening had a wonderful weekend. It was Canada Day yesterday, a 3-day weekend in the books. America's got theirs coming up. Jesse Schule joining us. Jesse, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Doing great, Prez. Thanks for having me again.
Well, listen, they forced me, Jesse. I voted no. But I was outvoted by every other person. It was almost unanimous, brother.
Well, I'd like to thank the rest of the staff for the support.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll get into your amazing run after, but let's talk about Austria-Turkey. And I think this is a 3 p.m. Eastern game. Yes, it is. And well, Austria are really the dark horse right now, but this is a team that could get to the next round. They recently played Turkey. They beat them 6-1 and really had their way up and down the field with this team. I don't think we're going to see a 6-1 game again. But is Austria the bet here?
Yeah, Prez, I like Austria in this match. Not just in this match. I like Austria as a dark horse to win the tournament, currently priced at 18-1.
Wow.
If you ask me who's going to win, I'd say Germany. But if you ask me where's the value, I'd say Austria. And, a little bit of home field advantage for both those clubs. Not too far from Austria either. So they should have plenty of fans in the stadium. Not only did Austria survive the group stages, they finished first in what you'd call the group of death, ahead of France and Netherlands. They did lose 1-0 to France, and that was a closer game than some might think. It was actually an own goal that ended up being the difference in that game. And one of the reasons why I like Austria is the coach, Ralf Rangnick. Of course, a lot of people will be familiar with his tenure at Manchester United a few years back. He did not do well there, came in with high expectations, ended up getting sacked because he had a feud with Cristiano Ronaldo. But he's really turned around the Austrian national team. He's got them playing at the top of their game here. You mentioned the 6-1 win. That was only a few months ago against Turkey. Turkey did well in the group stages to advance. I don't think they're as sound defensively. It's worth pointing out that their 3-1 win came against Georgia, which was the worst team in the tournament, and they scored an empty net goal. You don't see a lot of empty net goals in soccer, but we saw one in that Turkey-Georgia game. So I think Turkey's going to struggle to hang with Austria here. So I'll take Austria minus the 105, and I'll sprinkle a little bit on Austria to win the tournament at 18-1.
So you talked about the fan support that you expect Austria and Germany to get. Does that matter? And is it quantifiable in any way when it comes to the home pitch or the home crowd? I would think in the Euros that every team's going to be supported. Is that not the case? Am I mistaken?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the proximity to your country, the fans will travel better, and. Yeah, home field is huge. If you look at the history of European championships and World Cups, host nations have done quite well traditionally. So certainly playing in front of home fans is a huge advantage in football.
Jesse, in keeping with this game, now that we're in the knockout stages, soccer betting is slightly different. This minus 105, is that in regulation, or is that they can win in a shootout and cash that 105 ticket?
No, that is in regulation.
Right.
All soccer bets, unless you're betting a point spread or unless stated otherwise, you should always think of your bets as 90 minutes of play only. That's regulation time, and any added extra periods or shootouts don't count against the total or the side.
Jesse Schule joining us, everyone, on WagerTalk Today. Excited to have him. And guys, if you've never listened to the show before or purchased from WagerTalk, we have a special on Tuesdays where we take one of the hottest handicappers and we make them the $2 Tuesday play. This is a feature play. Jesse has been chosen for this Tuesday. He's currently on an 11-0 run in his 5% plays. He has a 5% play going today in baseball, and it is literally only $2. Price of a cup of coffee, a small chocolate bar. So if you've never purchased from us before, today's a great day to do that. And also, Jesse, it comes with a bunch of analysis and whatnot. You explain your play. It's all good information, right?
Yeah, I usually give at least a paragraph or two to provide an analysis for all my plays, pretty much similar to what you'll hear me talk about on these shows when I talk about a game, the same kind of detail. But let's clear up the streaks, Prez. It's 11-0 with my last 5% MLB picks.
Right,
it's
sorry.
12-1 with my last 5% totals picks, and 19-5 with my last 5% plays overall. And you know how important it is to clear that up, because I did lose a rare loss with a 5% play last week. And anybody who got in on that doesn't want to hear about an 11-0 run, right?
Right. No, well said. Sorry about that. Let's turn our attention to Canadian football. And Teddy and Jesse, look, I don't know how well you guys know the intricate rules of the strange football sport up north, but we saw a play this past weekend that doesn't happen. Are you aware that if you're, let's say, 2nd and 10, and you run, you make one of those passes to the wide receiver who's standing behind the line of scrimmage, do you know that if he drops the ball onto his foot, it hits his foot, and then he picks it up, it's an automatic first down? Teddy?
No. I didn't
It
know
happened.
that. What's the point? So how does this relate to Jesse's
because it was
handicap?
one of the weirdest things. It hasn't happened in years.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, I've been watching
this
CFL
weekend.
football for 20 plus years. I've never seen that happen before.
Right. It happened this weekend, and I was like, what? Anyway,
Did it change the game in any way?
Oh, I didn't pay attention after that, but it wasn't the game I bet. But just a super interesting play. You guys can check that out easily on YouTube. So we have Toronto playing Saskatchewan, and I was on the over in the Toronto game this past weekend with Montreal. It was 51. It ended up landing on 50. Now we have 48. And one thing we saw was Toronto really struggled to move the ball against Montreal. Saskatchewan does not have that type of defense. And Toronto has put up a ton of points in their 2 games prior to that. You like the over 48 in this game. Tell us why.
Yeah, you nailed it, Prez. I also had the over. I gave that out on this show last week. I got in early, got a 50.5, so it was it stung, landing on 50, a half-point loss, but those things happen. 48, the number here, and I think 48 is a much better number. And I think the reason we're seeing the lower number in this game is because of the injury to Trevor Harris, the starting quarterback for the Saskatchewan Riders. Replacing him will be Shea Patterson, a guy that doesn't have any CFL experience as a starter, but he's got plenty of experience in college, throwing for 45 touchdowns and 15 picks in 2 seasons with the Michigan Wolverines. He steps into an offense that's averaging 33 points a game. They got plenty of talent around him. Toronto's defense hasn't been great either, giving up 31 points per game. And you mentioned Cameron Dukes and Toronto's offense struggling. That was against a Montreal team that is the defending champs, and their defense is pretty stellar so far this season. Saskatchewan is a different monster. I expect to see at least 48 points here in this game in Saskatchewan on Thursday.
Look for touchdowns in bunches as the Rough Riders play the Argos Thursday night. CFL action. Jesse, you talked about your run. We've talked a little bit about your $2 Tuesday 5% play. Tell us a little more about it and what you have going for the clients right now at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, well, I've been playing a ton of soccer as well. CFL has been going quite well for me. I think it's 73% since last August in CFL. I don't play high volume. I usually pick 1 or 2 games a week. But to be hitting over 70% for that duration is still pretty profitable, obviously. You can look forward to more CFL and more soccer throughout the week and through the All-Star break. And yeah, baseball's going pretty well as well, especially with those 5% plays, as